How to Diet and Do It Correctly, Episode 6. The basics behind intermittent fasting and macronutrients management. Yoba, what's up and what's happening? And welcome to another series of
It's the Yoba series
with me, Chris Harding. So, Episode 6 and the basics behind intermittent fasting and also macronutrients management. In today's episode, I'll be going into a brief, easy to digest breakdown of intermittent fasting or IF, and also how you can start intermittent fasting today. I'm also going to be sharing with you a key guide on macronutrient management and how to get your carbs, proteins, and also fats in the right order. And carbohydrates do correlate quite strongly with intermittent fasting, so stay tuned. Okay? Play the intro.
Come on.
Now, most people are aware of the intermittent fasting diet, and if you have been trying to lose weight in the past or recently, then you're more than likely to be aware of IF. And intermittent fasting has become a little bit of a fad diet. And like I always say, just stay clear of fad diets. And we all know that fad diets are really just hyped up media diets that aren't necessarily that healthy for you and don't actually help you as an individual. They're there more to sell articles and newspaper magazines. So selling unhealthy lifestyle habits to you doesn't actually help you, but it does sell newspaper articles. They don't help you, and they also don't help you lose weight. And quite frankly, that's bullshit. But intermittent fasting isn't actually a fad diet, nor is it necessarily a bad choice of diet. And this is because intermittent fasting is actually a lot more structured than just not eating food. And here's why. When working with clients and helping them to lose weight, they often begin with a really healthy kickstart to their diet. Once they have kickstarted their new diet, this then actually changes their lifestyle, and inadvertently they actually then try to sabotage themselves by doing one thing in particular. They undereat. They become so fixated on eating healthy, they'll basically forget to eat, or even worse, force themselves not to eat in hopes that they will lose even more weight, which unfortunately actually has the exact opposite effect and doesn't help your body to lose weight by not eating. So guys, in this video, we're going to learn some fundamental basics surrounded around intermittent fasting and how to avoid those pitfalls. Lastly, if you hang around until the end of the video, I'll give you a free recipe book that you can download that will help you with your intermittent fasting journey. So here's a breakdown of the do's and don'ts of intermittent fasting. Do. Choose a window of time that works well with your schedule. Most of us have very busy lives, and we are becoming more and more limited when it comes to scheduling in our food. So if you are doing intermittent fasting and you're interested in possibly starting at 1 p.m. and finishing at 9 p.m., the best thing to do is to try and stick to those times. Keeping a regular routine will help your body's blood glycogen. It will also help your metabolism and keep your insulin levels in check. Don't eat nothing. It's fucking stupid. Seriously though, eating little or next to nothing is not the answer, as your body does need some decent nourishment every day, or every day to an extent. What do I mean by that? Well, that statement kind of brings me on to my next step. Don't, no. Do, no. Don't. Intermittent fasting does have a reputation for taking out entire days for fasting. These fasts can start from 24 hours and go up to 72 hours, depending on the individual and what they are striving to achieve with intermittent fasting. And if you surpass over 100 hours when intermittent fasting, you will actually blow away like a balloon. Obviously, I'm just joking, you won't actually blow away. From the research that I have seen and also the advice that I have given my clients, in my opinion, there is nothing wrong whatsoever with taking 24 or 48 hours or even 72-hour fasts. However, I would recommend that you do possibly the first 24-hour fast in your intermittent fasting journey. And then once you get a little bit more confident and also used to not eating as much, then possibly extend it from 24 to 48 and then eventually 72 hours. As long as you stay well hydrated and drink plenty of fluids, and obviously I don't mean alcohol, and also stay away from very rigorous activity, you should be absolutely fine and your body will stay within equilibrium. 24 to 48 hours is enough time for your body to have digested and also metabolized food into energy. After this fasting period of 24 to 48 hours, it is healthy for you to start eating again, which means that you can go back to your intermittent fasting window of time and continue your regular eating pattern. Don't radically change your diet or foods to match your intermittent fasting. What I mean is, of course, if you're thinking about eating more healthy choices of foods, but the window of time that you are now going to be limited to is making you think, how do I eat all of my food in just 8 hours? That is the entire point. You can't eat all of that food in one go. You are limited to the amount of food you can consume within your 8-hour window. Do eat in favor of pushing your time window back so that your fast breaks at a later time. So if, for example, you are used to eating at 9 a.m. and you now don't have to start eating or breaking your fast until 1 p.m., you are allowing your window of time to be postponed further into the day, which will help you burn more energy that already is in the body, rather than consuming more energy than you actually need through your diet. Do drink black tea or coffee, as the caffeine can help to suppress your appetite and also give you that morning kick you are looking for without having the 10 o'clock slump when you're eating your breakfast too early on in the morning. Choose some better choices of food and also give new and different meals a go. Remember that intermittent fasting is a lot more beneficial when you choose to eat less carbs, more fats, and more protein. Listen to this next step about intermittent fasting and carbohydrates and how it can affect your IF plan. Intermittent fasting was originally designed to help sufferers of diabetes lose weight, lose body fat, and reduce their insulin resistance or running the risk of having high blood glucose. However, intermittent fasting and fasting has actually been incredibly successful in many cases. And it has shown more often than not that it can actually aid weight loss and also increase insulin sensitivity and increase healthy amounts of HGH or human growth hormone, as well as stress cortisol levels. One thing that intermittent fasting does actually offer is that it limits not necessarily your calorie intake, but limits actually the overall amount of food you can consume per day, as you have only an 8 to 10 hour window to be able to consume the meals or food that you would consume in a normal day, therefore limiting the actual amount you can consume. This restricted time window then actually limits the amount that you can intake per day. How does carbohydrate affect your insulin levels and also your intermittent fasting plan? Carbohydrate-based foods are a high insulin spike macronutrient, and this goes against your intermittent fasting plan. Because of this, you may actually want to know what your glycemic index food groups are. If you want to know what is high on the glycemic index, then type into any search engine and it will give you a breakdown of what's high on the GI levels. When you're fasting, you're trying to keep your insulin hormone from spiking for as long as possible. This is so that the body uses a smaller amount of insulin to maintain your blood glucose and other metabolic functions. By consuming carbohydrates, especially fast-acting carbs, such as breads, pasta, and rice, you are increasing your blood sugar levels immediately. And by increasing them so rapidly, you then will increase your insulin levels. This spike in insulin is there to counterbalance the amount of sugar in your blood. The best way to avoid this is to eat smaller portions of carbs, along with more protein and fat-based foods such as meat and fish, eggs, and also natural Greek yogurt. All of these things can be eaten with carbohydrates, but the main portion of what you choose to eat is protein and fat rich, which are macronutrients that don't spike insulin levels so rapidly and store body fat so easily. All of these things can be eaten with carbohydrates, but the main portion of what you choose to eat is actually protein and fat based. These rich foods are macronutrients that don't spike insulin levels so rapidly and store body fat so easily. So guys, check out the recipe book that is on my website and look at the meals which are lower in carbohydrate, higher in protein, and also higher in fat. The recipes are easy to follow and also easy to prepare. So, I hope this basic guide to intermittent fasting and also macronutrient management helps you to start or stay on track with your intermittent fasting. If it does, please remember to give this video a like, hit the subscribe button, and click the bell for any new notifications. If you check out the link in the description box, guys, that's where you'll find the free PDF recipe book. Be fit, be healthy, and of course, be a boss bar.
It's the Yo Bossy Wish.